already completed 37 mock interviews. So whoever watching this video on YouTube channel, so you can check out the 37 mock interviews in the playlist section. So there you can find DevOps interview question and answers. So you can check all 37 mock interviews. So today Rishabh and Vishnu is going to participate in this mock interview. So please like this video. If I get at least 50 likes on this video, we are going to continue this mock interviews. So Rishabh, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Hello, my name is Rishabh Kumar. I have 4.5 years of experience, especially in AWS and Devops, and a total of 5.9 years in the IT field. In my current role, I have been extensively working with various tools and technologies that are pivotal to DevOps practices. For version control, I have hands-on experience with Git and GitHub, ensuring efficient code management and collaboration. For continuous integration and deployment, I leverage Jenkins to automate and streamline the build and deployment process. In terms of configuration management, I utilize Ansible to automate and manage configurations across different environments. For containerization, I work with Docker to create and manage containers. I use Kubernetes for orchestration these containers in a scalable and efficient manner. My infrastructure management is driven by Terraform, and, and for application deployment, I have experience with Tomcat as application server. On cloud front, I'm well versed with AWS services, managing and deploying applications within the ecosystem. Lastly, I monitor and utilize application performance and system health using Prometheus and Grafana which helps in proactive issue resolution and performance tuning. I'm excited about the opportunity to bring my expertise to our team and contribute to delivering robust and scalable solutions. This is all about me.
Okay, first thing is I cannot able to hear you. Your voice is very low. And second thing was you are going too much fast compared to yesterday.
Okay, my
You are going too much fast. You are in a hurry to complete this introduction. So it's not
okay.
a like realistic. So as I asked you, you are just telling me introduction. It is like that. It's not coming from your heart. So Vishnu, do you feel the same? If you have anything, please give him a feedback.
His voice is not audible. His voice is very, low. So I couldn't hear much of his introduction.
Yeah. So for me also same.
Yes, yes. Actually, I'm outside, sir. Maybe because of some network disturbance, my voice would be low.
Okay, no
When I
issues.
participate from my room, there will be peace and the volume would be clear.
Okay, okay. So Vishnu, can you please introduce yourself? Don't reveal about your genuine information. You can tell any other.
Sure. So hi, I'm myself Vishnu. I have overall of 3 years experience. Initially, I have started my career as a production support. Over the year later, I got an opportunity to work in cloud-based DevOps project where I mainly focus on creating infrastructures using Terraform and also Kubernetes clusters, and I also manage Kubernetes clusters along with Docker files, and I manage CI/CD pipelines using Jenkins. So that's all about me. Thanks.
Okay, okay. So yeah, you need to explain at least 2 to 3 minutes introduction part. So do one thing, just share me your name, your experience, and how like which tools you are expert. Mention that tools first. Just text me that so that I will prepare a script. You can use that script while introduce yourself. So don't blindly read it out. You can like modify according to your requirement. So the same script, same thing I did with Rishabh as well. So I have provided him a script, but for everyone there will be no same script. Okay, for everyone there will be different scripts.
Sure, I'll WhatsApp it.
Okay, so shall we start today's mock interview?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. We can start.
Okay, I will share my screen so that you can able to read the question. So you can able to see, right? Shall I increase the font? So I will make 22. Is it okay? Can you able to see? Can you able to see?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, what
yes,
is
yes.
Kubernetes Pod and how does it work?
Kubernetes pods are logical wrapper of containers in which we'll be having our application. Sorry. We will be having our application in a containerized format. Containers are lightweight, standard executable software packages, and it has codes, libraries, and executable files in it, and also the dependencies.
Yes, you are right.
Same storage and same network configurations. Or the same containers. I'm sorry.
So how do you handle pod restarts when they crash?
Initially, I'll be checking the logs and also we need to inspect the pod status in a bigger picture,
Okay.
and we need to look for the resource, and if it is if we need resource, we need to add it, and that's all. We can troubleshoot it.
Okay, we will check the answer after the questions. So what happens when you scale a deployment from 3 to 5 replicas? Nothing but right now I have 3 replicas, I will make it 5. So what will happen in the backend?
The kube scheduler will automatically create new pods based on the node availability.
So Rishabh, do you want to add something?
Yes, it will always see that 5 replicas of the actual pods will be maintained all the time.
So how do you ensure a pod is rescheduled in case of node fails? If like for suppose if there are 3 or 4 nodes are running, one node was failed. So how pod will reschedule? Because that node is not running. So obviously we need to shift that pods to other nodes. So how you will do that?
Repeat.
Actually, there is a process for it. So can I explain it?
Yes.
First we need to drain the unresponsive node using kubectl and drain command, and then we have to cordon the unresponsive node, and then we have to remove the node which is unresponsive before it is rescheduled. Once it is cordoned, then we can see that the node is ready, and then we can schedule pods on that node once again.
Node was already unresponsive. Node was failed. In that scenario, how you will reschedule?
Can I have one
Yes.
answer.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Basically, in Kubernetes, we have the concept of replica. What it does is, it makes sure it always maintain the desired state by running the number of replicas we defined in our deployments. And Kubernetes scheduler automatically, if any pod crashes or fails, what Kubernetes scheduler does is it makes sure it creates a new pod, and it always maintains the desired state by running the replicas we mentioned in our deployment file.
Okay, but here not node. Here not pod. Node fails. You are right. Whenever pod fails, pod will rescheduled. But here, not a pod was failing. Here, a node failed. What is replica set and how is it different from a deployment? What is a replica set and how is it different from a deployment? Am I audible?
Replica sets control set of replicas in our deployment file. It makes sure it maintains the desired number of state by run.
Okay, replica set also do the same and
Deployment.
deployment is also do the same. Difference, what is the difference in between them?
I don't know, bro.
Rishabh? So So how does service provide access to pods?
Uh, like replica sets ensures the specific number of pod
Uh,
replicas
uh,
in runtime
Time,
in a
like
given.
time is over for the fifth question. So how does a service
Okay.
provide access to pods?
Basically, the concept in service in Kubernetes is actually used to expose the service to the outside world, and we have 4 to 5 types of services in Kubernetes, which is cluster IP, a load balancer, node port, and external IP, and also headless service. Basically, for internal port-to-port communications, we use cluster IP. And node port exposes the service to the port of 30,000 to 32,797, and we have load balancer. Basically, what it does is it creates an external load balancer in your cloud provider, and it makes sure the loads are shared across your pods. Using external IP, using CNAME, we can we can share our service, and also what headless, and also we have headless service. Basically, what it does is it gives direct communication to the pod.
Okay, you are right. Almost you are right. We will check the answers once we complete the all more questions. What is the difference between cluster IP, node port, load balancer, and services?
Cluster IP is used
You
for
have already repeated, but I just want you to tell again.
okay. A cluster IP is used only for internal port-to-port communication. The rest of these things are used for external communication.
Okay. What is the difference, node port and load balancer?
Yeah, node port exposes a service between the port of 30,000 to 32,797, and in the case a load balancer, it shares the load across multiple ports
How does Kubernetes manages DNS for services?
using external IP.
How does the network flow work when a client hits a cluster IP service? Nothing but whenever I get a traffic to service, from service, how network flows to a pod and from pod to a container. So I just want this
Ingress,
explanation.
I guess ingress. Through ingress, we can route the traffic.
From ingress, the traffic will come to cluster IP. From cluster IP, how it will flow. So how does a network flow work when a client hits a cluster IP service? Nothing but it's within your Kubernetes cluster. Whenever hits a cluster IP service, how it will go to pod, from pod to a container. So
I
it
don't
will
know, bro.
use labels concept. It will match the label, right? Anyway, we will check on the answer. How do you expose a Kubernetes service using ingress? So every question is interrelated to each other.
The concept of ingress is used in a multi-path based routing, and it works on layer 7, and it controls how the traffic should be routed across your cluster in the pods, and it routes to HTTP and HTTPS. And for defining ingress, we need to set ingress controller. In that, we will be mentioning the service type, and that's how it is exposing the
Yeah, we
service in
will define
Kubernetes.
the ingress rules. So whenever I get a traffic to this particular service, route to this service, like that we will set a ingress rules. Okay. So I think I forget. So what happens if there are not enough resources to schedule a pod? Like
I
for
think
suppose there is a node, in that node there is no CPU is available, no RAM is available, no storage available. Now I want to schedule a pod. What happens?
Kubernetes automatically schedules it to another worker node, or we need to increase. We need to increase the size of the current worker node.
Super. How do you use node affinity to schedule pods on specific nodes?
Node affinity in Kubernetes is used in scheduling pods based on the labels which we define. Consider you are running 2 pods. where pod 1 have a disk type of SSD and pod 2 have disk type of HDD. Based on the disk type, it schedules the pods to the nodes.
Okay, here you are telling the pod affinity. Here the concept of node affinity. So depending upon the labels you have kept for the node, right? On that node it will schedule. So if you see on specific nodes.
Okay.
So you said you are right. I'm not telling you are wrong, but it is a pod affinity. You said for pod affinity. How do taints and tolerance work in Kubernetes? This is the damn sure question in every interview they will ask.
Okay, so consider you are having some high priority application in your Kubernetes cluster, and you want only to serve only high priority application for it. Basically, you can taint this node, and so by tainting this, Kubernetes schedule automatically knows it will not assign any pods to it. Only with the pods labeled with the toleration, it will assign to a specific node.
Super, you are right. How do you schedule pods using Kubernetes jobs?
Okay. Okay. For scheduling Kubernetes jobs, I mean it is completely different from cron job. Using Kubernetes job, you can execute only one function at a time, and once it is done, then it is over. You cannot reschedule it again. Basically, it is used to. I mean, what can I say? It is used to execute. I mean, it is used to check whether these tasks are completed successfully, or I mean, it was failed during execution or not.
Yeah, we can take like for example, if I want to take some database backup. So at that
Yeah.
time we can use these jobs.
Yes.
So what is a cron job? How do you schedule it?
Okay. Using cron job, I mean, we can schedule it. We can schedule it to run. 24 hours a day. Like it is used for backend. It is used to run backend. Like
Okay, shall we check the answers?
Yes, sir.
So first question what I've asked you, what is a Kubernetes pod and how does it work? So pod is a smallest deployable unit in Kubernetes, okay, consisting of one or more containers sharing the same storage and network. So if you consider with a real life example, running a multi-container application where one container is a web server and another container acts as a logger. So we can able to run multiple containers inside a pod, and inside the container your application will be running. So whatever it might be web server, it might be database, it might be logging agent. So if you see this is the sample pod manifest file, API version, kind, metadata, spec. Okay. So in the next mock interview, if I ask you to write a manifest file, and if I ask you to share your screen and write a manifest file, can you able to write? So in the next mock interview, be ready, join with your laptop. I will ask you to write a manifest file. So you need to be in a situation, you need to write a manifest file. Then after I've asked you, how do you handle pod restarts when they crash? So Kubernetes automatically restart pods using the restart policy in the pod specification. So web server example, real life example, a web server contains crashes due to out of memory issues and Kubernetes restart it. So if you see, restart policy always. So depending upon this restart policy only, right, your pod will restart. So we can control the restart policy. Okay, I expected this answer. So how do you handle pod restarts when they crash? So if you don't want to restart, what we can do, we can keep the restart policy as never. So it depends upon the situation, depends upon your need, you can change the restart policy. So what happens when you scale a deployment from 3 to 5 replicas? So Kubernetes create 2 additional pods to match the desired replica count. So scaling a web application to handle increased traffic. So kubectl scale deployment, right? Deployment name -FN replica is equal to 5. Then it will scale. How do you ensure a pod is rescheduled in case of node fails? Kubernetes ensures pods are rescheduled on another available node. I've expected this. Automatically what it will do? It will schedule to other node. So if a node running a critical database crashes, pod will be rescheduled. So kubesheet will get pods -o wide. Okay, just a moment. I am getting some call. Just a moment. So,
It's okay.
so fifth question: what is replica set and how is it different from a deployment? So replica set, what it will do? Replica set ensures a specific number of pods are running, while a deployment offers features like rolling update. In the deployment, what we will be having? We will be having a rolling update feature, right? In replica set, it will maintain the number of pods, whether it is running or not. But coming to deployment, what it will do, we can able to roll back to previous version. So that's the difference. So I've expected this answer. So this is the example of replica set, right? Kind replica set, metadata spec, match labels. Okay, but deployment, what you can able to do, you can have rolling update where depending upon the versions, you can able to roll back to previous version, right? Like that. How does service provide access to pods? So service provides a stable IP and load balances traffic across the pods. So exposing web app with multiple backend pods. Nothing but for exposing, you will use service. So whatever you said, you are right. And what service also will get an IP address, right? So API version, kind, service, metadata like this. This is the service example. So what is difference between cluster IP, node port, and load balancer? So cluster IP exposes services only within the cluster. Node port exposes to its node IP address. So load balancer uses cloud provider load balancer, right? So exposing a service externally using load balancer in a cloud environment. So service, right? Target port, type, load balancer. So depending upon our requirement, we can have used that type of particular service. So how does Kubernetes manages DNS for services? Kubernetes automatically assign DNS names to services, allowing them to access by name within the cluster. So connecting to the backend service to database service using DNS. So if you see, just whenever you create a service, right, try to inspect that service. So there you will get this information. How does the network flow work when a client hits the cluster IP service? So the request flows through kubeproxy, which forwards the request to a backend pod. Okay. Kubeproxy is the responsible person for networking inside your Kubernetes cluster. Yes or no? So kubeproxy will only send the request and how the request will pass using some label concept from service. If you see this service selector app, yes, it will go and
Yes.
search for the pod with this label. Depending upon that, the traffic will go. But who will send the traffic? Kubeproxy.
Good.
So how do you expose a Kubernetes service using ingress? So this is the ingress file. You will define, I told you, right, rules, ingress rules. So whenever I get a request to this particular service, my service name, okay. So for suppose if person hit myhab.example.com, the request should go to this service like this. What happens if there are not enough resources to schedule a pod? The pod stays in pending state, right? Until resources becomes available. Or you need to increase the resources. Resource intensive application can't be scheduled until a node will have more memory is available. How do you use node affinity to schedule pods on specific nodes? So node affinity ensures pods are scheduled on nodes with specific labels. Right? I told you, right? Label. So if you see node affinity, node selector terms, storage in equal to SSD. So whatever said, Vishnu, you are right, but you need to mention its node, not pod.
Yes.
So how do taints and tolerance works in Kubernetes? So Vishnu has covered this. He is right. So taints prevents pod from being scheduling on specific nodes unless the pods have toleration. Okay. Real life example will be preventing non-critical workloads from being scheduled on production nodes. Okay. There will be some requirement in the production which should not schedule. At that time you can use this taint. So how you will taint a node? Kubectl taint nodes. Okay, in next class I will directly ask you to write commands, write manifest files by asking you to share the screen. Okay, first mock interview I'm just showing you the examples. The next mock interview you need to write.
Okay.
So kind metadata toleration, right? This is the toleration example. How do you schedule pods using Kubernetes job? So jobs are used to batch processing, running a pod to completion. So running a database backup script on Kubernetes job. So if you see name, image, args, restart policy on failure. So I'm just running some script. Using this shell script, it will go and take the backup. What is cron job and how do you schedule it? So cron job runs a job periodically based on cron schedule. Scheduling a data cleanup script to run every night. Like for suppose every night I want to clean up some resources like that. So cleanup.sh I've written some shell script. I will going to run that shell script during a particular time. Okay, at a scheduled time. So this is the what mock interview. Okay, I will just stop the recording.